Hey, hi, and welcome to A Taste of Fusion. Today, I'm creating yet another amazing iftari menu. I'm starting off with a fantastic fusion risotto in which I'm using okra and a lot of vegetables to create a lovely, healthy appetizer. For my main course, I'm making an open-faced steak sandwich. Yes, and we love them, don't we? And I'm going to serve that with a little bit of apple salad on the side. For my dessert, peaches, mint, sugar and milk combined together to give you a lovely little candied fruit. And I'm going to try and wash it all down with a cucumber mint lassi. But now, that's enough of me talking. I've got to go pick up my veg, get back here and get cooking. Right, now to get started with our appetizer, which today is a fusion risotto. It basically comes from the terminology ris and also put together risotto fried rice in Italian, or so I'm saying. But what I'm going to do today is create a fantastic little fusion piece on it, and for that I've got a bunch of different vegetables over here, also because I think vegetables are something that you try and veer away from in Ramzan especially, and you go towards those really fried foods. This is something healthy and it's fried, put together with rice to make a glorious little appetizer or a larger dish if you want. But to get started, I've got some okra over here, or bhindi as we know it, and I've got about, I would say, 15 sort of pods of okra which I've chopped up. I'm popping them straight into my bowl, like so. And then to that I'm going to add 3 carrots diced up, and these are small carrots, so I've diced them up well, and that's a lot of beautiful color coming together. And then to that I'm going to add some peeled plum tomatoes. Now these are from a can. Why do I want them? Is because I want the tanginess and I want this lovely tomato juice that they've taken out. You can do this with fresh tomatoes, but if you don't have the time, it doesn't matter. So 2 peeled plum tomatoes, in they go straight, and 3 tablespoons of that lovely tomato sauce. Next, I've got some onions here, and I'm going to put in about 1½ sliced onions. It's going to go straight into my bowl. So 1 large teaspoon of red chili flakes, 1 heaped teaspoon of salt, 1 can of anchovies that have been drained from their olive oil, some whole grain mustard, 1 teaspoon of that, and 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. Now I'm going to fry this up. Right, now to fry it up, I'm going to get my pan on a high flame, like so, and I'm going to pour in about 3½ tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And then very simply, I'm going to pop all my ingredients into my pan in one go. It's the quick fix iftari risotto. Now I'm just going to mix everything up together in the pan on the heat so it all starts cooking very, very quickly. And anchovies. Now anchovies is something which we don't necessarily use in any of our cooking really. It sort of adds a sort of fish sauce or Southeast Asian flavor to food, but it's used in a lot of Italian, Mediterranean, and modern cuisine. Now the anchovies, will add a tanginess, a somewhat salty, a different form of saltiness to this dish. This lovely color is going. Once everything starts frying up, I'm just going to put in about a 1/4 glass of water. Mix everything together. Now the water will help soften the carrots. Now we have to fry this down till everything evaporates and the carrots, the onions caramelize. This should take approximately 8 minutes. Right, so now the water's evaporated and the onions have started caramelizing, the carrots have started becoming soft, and the okra is perfectly cooked. And the lovely smell that one is getting is the merger of the tomato and the anchovies. So really quite delicious. At this point, just when I can smell the anchovies frying, I'm going to put in a couple of slices of ginger that I finely sliced up. This is right at the end to add a coolness and a je ne sais quoi to this little dish. I'm going to put in a dash of balsamic vinegar and about 1 more tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Slightly take it off the heat, mix it all in. Sure it's beautifully coated, and the balsamic vinegar adds sweetness to this dish, which is very necessary at this point. Finally, before we put in our rice, I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons of sweet corn from a tin. Again, you can get baby corn, put that in. It's just to add a different color and zest to it. Mix it all up like so. Here I have 1 cup of parboiled rice. I'm going to enter that in straight. I'm going to turn the heat down because I don't want anything to burn. And at this point, it's crucial. Mix up the rice. It's almost like a stir-fried rice, but not quite, because we have to soften the rice and let it risottoize. And of course, the rice is taking on this beautiful color that is with our sauce. And the greens, the yellows, the oranges are all coming through. Mix it all in. We're going to add another 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Squeeze in the juice of half a lemon. And then, instead of cream cheese, I'm putting in 5 tablespoons of fresh cream. Wonderful. Then, I'm just going to mix it all up and just let that cream seep through the rice. Just going to dry it a little more. Keep it on the flame for just 2 more minutes. And just as that's drying, you add in just a couple of leaves of fresh basil, tear them up and throw them in like so. Mix that up. One last dash of balsamic. So in total, you put in about 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar in the entire dish. And once your rice is somewhat gooey and not completely broken down, I mean, you should be able to see each kernel of rice on its own. It's cooked for approximately 12 to 15 minutes, and it's ready. I'm just going to turn the heat off. Give it 1 last lashing of olive oil from the top so that seeps into the rice. And when I'm serving it, I'm going to pop it into a little dish and turn it over so it looks beautiful. So that's it. I'm done with the appetizer. Now, onto the main course. Okay, now for our main course, which is an open-faced steak sandwich. The first thing to do is prepare your bread, because the bread I'm using today is this lovely little baguette roll, which is quite hard. So I want to prep it from beforehand. First things first, I'm just going to take my knife and cut through. And if you make your bread, or you prepare your bread from earlier on, it becomes quite moist by the time your steak sandwich actually gets together. Now, on the base, I'm going to take some of this lovely tomato syrup that's left from the, peeled plum tomato can. And because it's cooked, I don't need to cook it down. I'm just going to put a little onto the base, like so. I'm just going to spread it. Next, I'm going to treat this with a pinch of salt and a pinch of red chili flakes. Then, some whole grain mustard, 1 teaspoon, onto the bread. And with my knife, I'm just going to spread it as evenly as I can. I'm not making a mayonnaise because I think mayonnaises are very overrated, especially in steak sandwiches, and you should not take away from the meat and its own juices. Also, it keeps things very, very healthy. Next, I'm going to take some basil, some fresh basil, a couple of leaves, and I'm just going to slice them up. And I'm going to layer them onto my bread like so. Next, I'm going to get 1 lettuce leaf, chop it like that, and just prepare the base for my sandwich. Now, I'm going to put this to the side and get started on my meat. While that rests, all the juices will seep through the bread, making it quite soft. Okay, now for the meat. In my bowl, I am going to create a lovely little mix of vinaigrette for this fantastic undercut, which I'm going to slice into some glorious little fillet strips. It's very simple. Let's take a little bit of the undercut, the flat back end, because it's smaller, it's thinner, it's easier to cook. And I'm just going to cut through it sideways like that, keeping everything quite thin. And that's about half a cup of meat for one sandwich. Quite a bit, so it's very filling and it's really enjoyable. Now into my vinaigrette, some extra virgin olive oil, about 4 tablespoons worth, 1 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, 1.5 teaspoons of soy sauce, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of coriander powder, half a teaspoon of red chili flakes, and about 12 capers. Next, I'm going to take my meat and drop it right in there. Mix it all up. Let everything get coated evenly. Let that sit on the side for 2 seconds. In the meantime, get 2 pods of garlic, small ones, and chop them up quite fine. And this goes straight in to your meat. Next, the juice of half a lemon, squeezed right in. And finally, 1 green chili, sliced through and sliced up. In that goes. Now mix it up again. Let all those flavors flow. Reserve some apple slices on the side of your bowl because we're going to use them in our steak sandwich, but we're not going to fry them with the meat immediately. And now we have to fry this up. Right, now you might think there's a lot of oil in this, but you're not actually going to cook all of it in one go. What we're going to do now is get our pan on a high flame and let pan heat up. All right, now reserve most of the oil and start dropping the fillets of meat onto the sides of the pan like so. Make sure you get all the anchovies and the green chili. And now it's just a very quick blitz. At this point, give it a lovely little dash of rice vinegar. And right when you're almost done, pop in the apples around the side. You just want to slightly color the apples but retain their original flavor. You don't want to caramelize them, you don't really want them to cook. And you don't want them to secrete their flavor out into the meat. You just want to heat them through so they get coated on the outside. And voila! 3 minutes and your main course is done. Now all there's left to do is make dessert. Right, now for dessert, which are caramelized mint peaches. It's super, super simple. Get your pan onto a high flame and pop in some peaches which have been quartered. I've got about 2.5 peaches here. I'm just going to throw them straight into my pan, like so. And then you just have to let them start frying up. Once they start sizzling and you can see the juices catching at the base of the pan, you're going to throw in about 3 tablespoons of sugar. Now, you're going to move everything around and let the sugar start crystallizing and releasing its own water. You basically coated the peaches with sugar. It's really easy, it's really fun, and it's very delicious. Okay, now the sugar started secreting its water, so it started bubbling and turning to its liquid form. And that's also getting the peaches to secrete their lovely juices. Now at this point, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of dried coconut because I want it to stick to the peaches, creating a lovely little coating. And now for a slow introduction of milk. Just 50 mils at a time. Lift it up from the heat and let that milk bubble around the fruit. Once it's strained and it's almost toffee-like, add in another 50 mils. Now, once the second addition of milk has been done, you take a couple of sprigs of mint and just rip them up with your hands, like so. Just pop them right in. And once the peaches have become molten, everything is going this dark toffee color and the mint is still green, simply turn the flame off and you are done with dessert, and it's time to make that lovely drink before iftar. Okay, now for our drink, which today is a cucumber mint lassi. Oh, it's a little fusion piece. I've got some lovely little cucumber here and I'm just going to chop it up roughly and pop it into my blender bowl. Like so. And then I've got some lovely mint here. I'm just going to make sure there are no stalks on it. Just take the leaves. In that goes. I'm not going to chop it up because it's going to go in the blender. Okie dokie. Next, some fantastic yogurt here. And into my little blender pot, I'm putting in 6 large tablespoons. Then to this, I'm adding a large pinch of salt and a large pinch of black pepper. Finally, the juice of half a lemon. And then I'm just going to blend it up. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm just going to serve this on a lot of ice. I'm not going to add anything more to it. And now it's time to plate up. Right, I'm done with cooking up a storm and my iftari menu is on the table and I can't wait to dig into it. But what I'm really proud of today is my fusion risotto. It's almost like a pulao, it's almost like a stir fry, you know, Chinese rice stir fry merged together with a lot of vegetables that we use. And this is a really unique and cunning way, if I might add, of serving your kids vegetables, especially at iftari time, because you've got a lot of nutrients, it's very healthy, and you've got a lot of rice in the form of starch, so it's quite filling, and it's a meal in its whole. And what I've done is I've offset it with a little cream. Now you could add in paneer if you want to, cottage cheese, or some heavier cheese if you so choose. Then moving on to my main course, which is this glorious open-faced steak sandwich. And you know, I think that sandwiches are really fun. You can make a whole array of them, you know, an entire table. If you've got tons of guests, they're super easy to put together. And what I did today is very simple. Had my little baguette roll, cut it in half, made a little, you know, so like, sort of created a little sauce on it and let that soak in there. So that's easy to bite into when you get down to it. And then my little fillet of beef just cut up, fried up with a few capers thrown in. So the capers, an offset, a different flavor coming together and fusion in itself. And of course then my apples and my salad. I just warmed the apples through in what was left of the sauces of the meat in the pan and served it up. A perfect open-faced steak sandwich. And then to dessert. What could be simpler than peaches, a little mint, some sugar and milk in a pan and blitzed up in less than 3 to 4 minutes? A perfect little sweet to the end of a long fast. Of course, again, I've just put a little cream with it, added a little mint on top. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's really delectable and it's almost like candied fruits. It's perfect. And then to wash it all down, something I'm very proud of, my cucumber mint lassi. Again, cucumbers chopped up, a little mint, a little lemon, some yogurt, blitzed up, served on ice. It's perfect, it's healthy, it's a real pick-me-up, and it's a coolant. You need to have all these digestive flavors, especially of the mint, working its way on you when you're done with this entire meal. But That's enough of me talking about it. Now I'm going to go outside and get into it. Remember, if you want to see me fuse something or have any comments, write in on fusion@dawnnews.tv. For myself, till next time, take care.